Saraswati Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shataraswati Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarashmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shataraswati Shishimar Bhakti Pankeshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shataraswati Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Shri Gokshadaspa Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Shri Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Rup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाए. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए. श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाए. सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जाए. श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड यमुना गंगा तुलसी की जाए. श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाए. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाए. समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए. श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. ओम विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्री श्रीमद्-भक्ति वेदांत नारायणति नाम. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो महाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः. गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपरित्यं द्वैपायनो विरह कातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवो पुस्तं सार्वभूत हृदय मुनिमानतोस्. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यकीर्तना हृदन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनि सुहृत्सतं. नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे नायमां चरणान्तिकम्. भक्त्या विहीन अपराधलक्ष्य क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां सम्प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्. भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Pranams Gargaraji, Madhvi Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, Antaramurti Mataji, Haribol, everybody. Okay, today, sorry I'm so late. Today we're reading about Krishna killing the cart demon, Katasura. After tomorrow, we'll read about the killing of the demon Trinavarta. Killing of the demon Trinavarta. In this chapter, Sri Krishna's pastimes of breaking the cart, śakaṭa bhanjan, known as Trinavarta, and demonstrating the entire mouth are especially described. When Shukadeva saw that Maharaj Parikshit was eagerly waiting to hear about Lord Krishna's pastimes as a child, he was much pleased, and he continued to speak. When Sri Krishna was only 3 months old and was just trying to turn backside up before he even attempted to crawl, Mother Yaśodā wanted to observe a ritualistic ceremony with her friends for the good fortune of the child. Such a ritualistic ceremony is generally performed with ladies who have small children. When Mother Yaśodā saw that Krishna was asleep, because of other engagements, she put the child underneath a household cart called a śakaṭa. And while the child was singing, she engaged herself in the business ritualistic ceremony. Underneath the cart was a cradle, and Mother Yaśodā placed the child in that cradle. The child was sleeping, but suddenly he awakened and, as usual for a child, began to kick his small legs. This kicking shook the cart, which collapsed with a great sound, breaking completely and spilling all its contents. Children who were playing nearby immediately informed Mother Yaśodā the cart had broken, and therefore she hastily arrived there in great anxiety with the other gopis. Mother Yaśodā immediately took the child on her lap and allowed him to suck her breast. The various types of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies were performed with the help of the brāhmaṇas. Not knowing the real identity of the child, the brāhmaṇas showered the child with blessings. Oh, it doesn't explain about the cart being a demon. Another day, when Mother Yaśodā was sitting with her child on her lap, she suddenly observed that he had assumed the weight of the entire universe. That's pretty heavy. She was so astonished, had to put the child down. And in the meantime, Trinavarta, one of the servants of Kṛṣṇa, appeared there as a whirlwind and took the child away. The whole tract of land known as Gokul was charged with dust. No one could see where the child had been taken, and all the gopis were overwhelmed because they had been taken away in the storm. Because he had been taken away in the dust storm. But up in the sky, the asura, being caused by the child, could not carry the child far away. Although he also called because the child had caught him so tightly that it was difficult for him to separate the child from his body. Thus, Trinavarta himself from a very great height, the child grasping him tightly by the shoulder, and immediately died. The demon having fallen, the gopis picked up the child and delivered him to the lap of Mother Yaśodā. Thus, Mother Yaśodā was struck with wonder, but because of Yogamaya's no one could understand who Krishna was and what had actually happened. Rather, everyone began to pray fortune for the child's having been saved from such a calamity. Nanda Maharaj, of course, was thinking of the wonderful foretelling of Vasudeva and began to praise him yogi. Later, when the child was on the lap of Mother Yaśodā, the child yawned, and Mother Yaśodā could see within his mouth the entire universal manifestation. Hari Bol, Manjari Didi. Okay, it's more clear in the Sarta Darshini. Okay. Hari Bol, Sudevi Didi. Dhanyavad. Okay, Shirajo Vacha. Yena avatarena Bhagavan Haririshva Karoti Karna Ramyani Manogyani Nacha Prabho. Yachrinvato paityaratir vitrishna Sattvam chashudyatyachirena pungsa Bhaktir haro tat purecha sakyam Tareva haram vadamanyase chet. King Parikshit said, My lord, Shukadeva Goswami, all the activities exhibited by the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are certainly pleasing to the ear and to the mind. Simply by one of these activities, the dirty things in one's mind immediately vanish. Generally, we are reluctant to hear about the activity of the Lord, but Krishna's childhood activities are so attractive that they are automatically pleasing to the mind and ear. Thus, one's attachment for hearing about material things, which is the root cause of material existence, vanishes, and one gradually develops devotional service to the Supreme Lord, attachment for Him, and friendship with devotees who give us the contribution of Krishna consciousness. If you think it fit, kindly speak about those activities of the Lord. Purport. As stated in the Prem Vivarta, Krishna bahir mukha hoya bhoga vancha kore nikatastha maya tare jhapati adhore. Our material existence is maya, our illusion, in which we desire different varieties of material elements and therefore change to different varieties of bodies. Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Asan api kleshada da asaklit deha. That one verse is, the first one is from 1861 and the second one is from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 554. As long as we have these very bodies, they give us many varieties of tribulation. Adhyatmika, adhibautika, and adhidaivaka. This is the root cause of all suffering. But this root cause of suffering can be removed by revival of our Krishna consciousness. All the Vedic literatures presented by Yaśodā and other great sages are therefore intended to revive our consciousness, which begins to revive with Shravanam Kirtanam. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Kṛṣṇa, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-17. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and other Vedic literatures exist simply to give us a chance about Krishna. Krishna has different avatars, or incarnations, all of which are wonderful and which arouse one's inquisitiveness. But generally, such avatars as Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha are not as attractive as Krishna. First of all, however, we have no attraction for hearing about Krishna, and this is the root cause of our suffering. But Maharaj Parikshit specifically mentions that the wonderful activity of baby Krishna, which amazed Mother Yaśodā and the other inhabitants of Vraj, are especially attractive. At the very beginning of his childhood, Krishna killed Utthāna, Trinavarta, and śakaṭa and showed the entire universe within his mouth. Thus the pastimes of Krishna, one after another, kept Mother Yaśodā and all the inhabitants of Vraj in great astonishment. The process to revive one's Krishna consciousness is adau shraddha tata sadhu sangha. That's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.15. The pastimes of Krishna can be properly received from devotees. If one has developed a little bit of Krishna consciousness by hearing from the Vaishnavas about the activities of Krishna, one becomes attached to the Vaishnavas who are interested only in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj recommends that one hear about Krishna's childhood activities, which are more attractivities of other incarnations, such as Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha. Wanting to hear more and more from Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj him to continue describing Krishna's childhood activities, which are especially easy to hear, and which create more and more inquisitiveness. Atanyarapi Krishnasya tokachari tamarbhutam manusham lokamasa tajjatim anurundhata. Please describe the other pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared on this earth, imitating a human child, performing wonderful activities like Utthāna. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit requested Shukadeva Goswami to narrate other childhood pastimes exhibited by Krishna while playing human child. The Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnates at different times in different planets and universes, and according to the nature of those places, unlimited potency. That a child sitting on the lap of his mother was able to kill the gigantic Utthāna is extremely wonderful for the inhabitants of this planet. But on other planets, the inhabitants are more advanced, and therefore the pastimes of the Lord, and therefore the pastimes the Lord performs there are Krishna's appearance on this planet, like a human, makes us more fortunate than the demigods in the higher planets. And therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was very much interested in hearing about him. Shri Shuka Uvacha Kadachid Otanika Kotukalplave Janmarksha Yoge Samaveta Yoshitam Vaditra Gita Dijamantra Vachakaish Chakara Sunor Abhishechanang Sati. Shukadeva Goswami said, when Mother Yaśoda's baby was slanting his body to attempt to rise and turn around, this attempt was observed by a Vedic ceremony. I love that. Ceremony for Krishna turning around. In such a ceremony called Utthāna, which is performed when a child is due to leave the house for the first time, the child is properly bathed. After Krishna turned 3 months old, Mother Yaśoda celebrated the ceremony with other women of the neighborhood. On that day, there was a conjunction of the moon with the constellation Rohini. As the brāhmaṇas joined by chanting Vedic hymns and professional musicians took part, the ceremony was observed by Mother Yaśoda. Purport. There is no question of overpopulation or of children's being a burden for their parents in a Vedic society. Such a society is so well organized and people are so advanced in spiritual consciousness that childbirth is never regarded as a burden or a botheration. The more his parents become jubilant, and the child's attempts to turn over are also a source of jubilation. Even before the child is born, when the mother is pregnant, many recommended ritualistic ceremonies are performed. For example, when the child has been within the womb for 3 or 7 months, there is a ceremony the mother observes by eating with neighboring children. Interesting. This is called Svada Bhakshan. Similarly, before the birth of the child, there is Garbhadan ceremony. In Vedic civilization, childbirth or pregnancy is never regarded as a burden. Rather, it is cause for jubilation. In contrast, people in modern civilization do not like pregnancy or childbirth, and when there is a child, they sometimes kill it. We can just consider how human society has fallen since the inauguration of Kali Yuga. Although people still claim at the present moment there is actually no human civilization, but only an assembly of 2-legged animals. Nandasya patni kritamarjanadhikam Vipray krita swastyayanam supujitai Anadavasa sragabhishta dhenubhi Sanjata nidraksham ashishayachanai. After completing the bathing ceremony for the child, Mother Yaśoda received the brāhmaṇas by worshipping them with proper respect and giving them ample food grain and other eatables, clothing, desirable cows, and garland. The brāhmaṇas properly chanted Vedic hymns to observe the auspicious ceremony, and when they finished and Mother Yaśoda saw that the child felt sleepy, she lay down on the bed with the child until he was peacefully asleep. Purport. An affectionate mother takes great care of her child and is always anxious to see the child is not disturbed even for a moment. As long as the child wants to remain with the mother stays with the child, and the child feels very comfortable. Mother Yaśoda that her child felt sleepy, and to give him all facilities for sleep, she lay down with the child. When he is peaceful, she got up to attend to her other household affairs. Utthāniko sukya manasvini samagatan pujat puti vrajokasa naiva shrinorvai ruditam sutasya sa rudan stanarti charanav udakshit. The liberal mother Yaśodā, absorbed in celebrating the Utthāna ceremony, was busy receiving guests, worshipping them with all respect and offering them clothing, cows, garlands, grains. Thus she could not hear the child crying for his mother. At that time, the child Kṛṣṇa, demanding to his mother's breast, angrily threw his legs upward. Purport. Kṛṣṇa had been placed underneath a household handcart, but this handcart was actually another form of the śakaṭa, a demon who had come there to kill the child. Now, on the plea of to suck his mother's breast, Kṛṣṇa took this opportunity to kill the demon. Thus, he kicked śakaṭa just to expose him. Although although Kṛṣṇa's mother was engaged in requests, Kṛṣṇa wanted to draw her attention by kicking the śakaṭa and therefore kicked the cart-shaped demon. The pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa wanted to draw the attention of his mother, but while doing so, he created a great havoc, not understandable by ordinary persons. These narrations are wonderfully enjoyable, and those are struck with wonder upon hearing of these extraordinaries of the Lord. Although the less intelligent regard them as mythological, because a dull brain cannot understand them, they are real facts. These narrations are actually so enjoyable and enlightening that Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami took pleasure in them, and other liberated persons following in their footsteps became fully jubilant by hearing about the wonderful activities of the Lord. It looks like my stream's having connection issues. Hari Bol Manjari Didi. Adashayanasya shishor anulpaka. Sorry, let me reread that. Adashayanasya shishor anulpaka pravalamridvang grihatam vyavartata vidvastanana rasakupya bhajanam vyatyasta chakraksha vibhinna kubaram. Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa was lying down underneath the handcart in one corner of the courtyard, and although his little legs were as soft as leaves, when he struck the cart with his legs, it turned over violently and collapsed. The wheels separated from, and the hubs and spokes fell apart, and the pole of the handcart broke. On the cart, there were many little utensils made of various metals, and all of them scattered hither and thither. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented on this verse as follows. When Lord Kṛṣṇa was of a tender age, his hands and legs resembled soft new leaves. Simply by touching the handcart with his legs, he made the cart fall to pieces. It was quite possible for him to act in this way, and yet not exert himself very much. It is quite possible for him to act in this way and not exert himself very much. The Lord and his Vāman avatar had to extend his foot to the greatest height covering of the universe. And when the Lord killed the gigantic demon Hiranyakashipu, he had to assume the special bodily feature of Nrsimhadev. But in his Kṛṣṇa avatar, the Lord did not need to exert such energy. Therefore, tu Bhagavan Swayam. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme person. In other incarnations, the Lord had to exert some energy according to the time and circumstances. But in this form, potency. Thus the handcart collapsed, its joints broken, and all the metal pots and utensils scattered. The Vaishnava remarks that although the handcart was higher than the child could easily touch the wheel of the cart, and this was sufficient to send the demon down to the earth. The Lord simultaneously pushed the demon to the earth and superficially broke the cart. He pushed the demon earth and superficially broke the handcart. Give me 1 second, guys. I just need to. I was in the middle of making an offering. I just need to give Gurudev Achman and yeah, 1 second. Okay, done. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Drishtva Yaśodā pramukha vrajastriya Utthānike karmaniya samagata Nanda dayaschar bhutadarshana kula Katam swayam vai shakatam viparyagat. Yaśodā and the other ladies who had assembled Utthāna festival and all the men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, saw the wonderful situation. They began to wonder how the handcart had collapsed by itself. They began to wander here and there, trying to find the cause, but were unable to do so. Uchvyavasita matin gopischa balaka rudatanena padena kshiptam etam nashangshaya. The assembled cowherd men and ladies began to contemplate how this thing had happened. Is it the work of some demon or evil planet? They asked. At that time, small children present asserted that the cart had been kicked apart by the baby Kṛṣṇa. As soon as the baby had kicked the cart's wheel, the cart had collapsed. There was no doubt about it. Purport. We have heard of peoples being haunted by ghosts. Having no gross body, a ghost seeks shelter of a gross body to stay in and haunt. The śakaṭa was a ghost who had taken shelter of the handcart and was looking for the opportunity to do mischief to Kṛṣṇa. When Kṛṣṇa kicked the cart with his small and very delicate legs, the ghost was immediately pushed down to the earth and his shelter dismantled, as already described. This was possible for Kṛṣṇa because he has full potency, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 532. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sarujvala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Krishna's body is Satchid Ananda Vigraha, or Anaya Rasa Vigraha. That is, any of the parts of his Ananda Chinmaya body can act for any other part. Such are the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he can eat through his eyes, he can like that. All the functions of each body performs the functions of the other body parts. The Supreme Lord does not need to acquire these potencies. He already has them. Thus, Kṛṣṇa kicked his little legs and his whole purpose was fulfilled. Also, when the handcart broke, an ordinary child could have been injured in many ways. But because Kṛṣṇa is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, he enjoyed the dismantling of the cart, and nothing injured him. Everything done by him is Ananda Chinmaya Ras, full of transcendental bliss. Thus, Kṛṣṇa factually enjoyed. The nearby children saw that actually Kṛṣṇa had kicked the wheel of the cart, and it happened. By the arrangement of Yogamaya, all the gopis and gopas thought that the accident had taken place on some bad planet or some ghost, but in fact, by Kṛṣṇa and enjoyed by him. Those who enjoy the activities of Kṛṣṇa are also on the platform of Ananda Chinmaya Ras. They are liberated from the material platform. When one develops the practice of hearing Kṛṣṇa Katha, he is certainly transcendental to material existence, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Sa gunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Unless one is on the spiritual platform, one cannot enjoy the transcendental activities of Kṛṣṇa. Or in other words, whoever engages in hearing the transcendental activities of Kṛṣṇa is not on the material platform, but on the transcendental spiritual platform. Nate shraddha dhire gopa balam bhashitam ityuta aprameyam balam tasya balakasya nate vidu. The assembled gopis and gopas, unaware that Kṛṣṇa is always unlimited, could not believe that baby Kṛṣṇa had such inconceivable power. They could not believe the statements of the children, and therefore they neglected these statements as being childish talk. Rudantam sutamadaya Yaśodā graha shankita krita swastya prai suktai stanam apayat. Thinking that sad planet had attacked Kṛṣṇa, Mother Yaśodā picked up the crying child and allowed him to suck her breast. Then she called for experienced brāhmaṇas to chant Vedic hymns and perform an auspicious ritualistic ceremony. Purport. Whenever there is some danger or some inauspicious occurrence, it is the custom of Vedic civilization to have qualified brāhmaṇas immediately chant Vedic hymns to counteract it. Mother Yaśodā did this properly and allowed the baby to suck her breast. Purvavat stapitam gopar balibhi sa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadhyakshata kushambubhi. After the strong, stout cowherd men assembled the pots and paraphernalia on the handcart and set it up as before, the brāhmaṇas performed a ritualistic ceremony with a fire sacrifice to appease the bad planet, and then with rice grains, water, and curd, they worshipped the Supreme Lord. Purport. The handcart varied with heavy utensils and other paraphernalia. To set the cart back in its original position required much strength, but this was easily done by the cowherdmen. Then, accordingly, various ceremonies were performed to appease the calamitous situation. Gopajati means the cowherd men and women. Once again, there's 2 lines missing. Yaśodā nritta dham. Sorry, let me try that again. Yaśodā nritta dham bharsha hingsamana vivarjit natesham satashilanam ashisho vifala krita eti balakamadaya samarya yajur upakritai chalai pavitro shadvtibhir abhishek Dvijottamai Sayatva Swastayang Nanda Gopa Samahita Hutva Chagnim Dijatibhya Pradad Annam Mahagunam. When brāhmaṇas are free from any untruthfulness, unnecessary pride, grudges, disturbance by the opulence of others, and false prestige, their blessings never go in vain. Considering this, Maharaj soberly took Kṛṣṇa on his lap and invited such truthful brāhmaṇas to perform a ritualistic ceremony according to the holy hymns of the Samaveda, Rigveda, and Yajurveda. The hymns were being chanted. He bathed the child with water mixed with pure herbs, and after performing a fire ceremony, he sumptuously fed all the brāhmaṇas with first-class grains and food. Purport. Nanda was very confident about the qualifications of the brāhmaṇas and their blessings. He was fully confident that simply if the good brāhmaṇas showered their blessings, the child Kṛṣṇa would be happy. The blessings of the qualified brāhmaṇas can bring happiness not only to Kṛṣṇa, Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to one. Because Kṛṣṇa is self-sufficient, he does not require anyone's blessing. Yet Nanda Maharaj thought that Kṛṣṇa required the blessings of the brāhmaṇas. What then is to be said of others? In human society, therefore, there must be an idea of men, there must be an ideal class of men who can bestow blessings upon others, namely upon the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, so that everyone will be happy. Kṛṣṇa therefore says in Bhagavad Gita 4.13 that human society must have 4 social orders. Chaturvarnyam maya shrishna karma vibhagasha. It is not that everyone should become a Shudra or a Vaishya and human society will prosper. As enunciated in Bhagavad Gita, there must be a class of Brahmins with qualities like Satya, truthfulness, Shama, peacefulness, Dhamma, self-control, and Tatiksha, tolerance. Here also, Nanda Maharaj invites qualified Brahmins. There may be caste Brahmins, and we all have respect for them, but their birth in Brahmin families does not mean that they are qualified upon the other members of human society. This is the verdict of the Shastra. In Kali Yuga, caste Brahmins are accepted as Brahmins. Vipratvutram eva hi. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12.2.3. In Kali Yuga, simply by putting on a thread worth 2 paise, one becomes a Brahman. Such Brahmins were not called for by Nanda Maharaj. As stated by Narad Muni in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7.35, Yasya yal lakshanam proktam. The symptoms of Brahman are stated in Shastra, and one must be qualified with these symptoms. The blessings of the Brahmins who are not envious, disturbed, or puffed up with pride and false prestige, and who are fully qualified with truthfulness. Therefore, a class of men must be trained as Brahmins from the very beginning. Brahmachari kule vasandanto gurur hitam. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7.12.1. The word danta is very important. Danta refers to one who is not envious, disturbing, or puffed up with false prestige. With the Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to introduce such Brahmins, and Brahmins must ultimately be Vaishnavas, and if one is a Vaishnav, he has already acquired the qualifications of a Brahman. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. That's Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Brahma Bhuta refers to becoming a Brahman. Or what is Brahman? Brahma Janatiti Brahmana. One who is Brahma Bhuta is always happy. Na shochati kankshati. He is never disturbed about material necessities. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. He is ready to bestow blessings upon everyone equally. Mar bhaktim labate param. Then he becomes a Vaishnav. In this age, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced the sacred ceremony for his Vaishnav disciples, with the idea that people should understand that when one becomes a Vaishnav, he has already acquired the qualifications of a Brahman. Therefore, in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, those who are twice initiated, become Brahmins, must bear in mind their great responsibility to be truthful, control the minds and senses, be tolerant. Then their life will be successful. It was such Brahmins that Nanda Maharaj invited to chant, not ordinary Brahmins. Verse 13 distinctly mentions himself. The word mana refers to false prestige. Those who are falsely proud, thinking that they were Brahmins because they were born in Brahmin families, were never invited by Nanda Maharaj on such occasions. Verse 15 mentions pavitro shadi. In any ritualistic ceremony, many herbs and leaves were required. These were known as pavitra patra. Sometimes there were nimba leaves, sometimes bale leaves, mango leaves, ashvata leaves, or amalaki leaves. Similarly, there were panchagavya, panchashasya, charatna. Although Nanda Maharaj belongs to the Vaishya community, everything was known to him. The most important word in these verses is mahagunam, indicating that they were offered very palatable food of exalted quality. Such palatable dishes were generally prepared with 2 things, namely food and milk products. It's Bhagavad Gita 18.44. Bhagavad Gita 18.44 therefore enjoins that human society must give protection to the cows and encourage agriculture. Krishi go raksha vanijam vaishyakarma sabhavajam. Simply by expert cooking, hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes could be prepared from agricultural produce and milk products. indicated here by the words Annam Mahagunam. Still today, from these two things, namely food, grains, and milk, hundreds and thousands of varieties of food are prepared, and then they are offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaturvidashi Bhagavat Prasado Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhakta Prayachati. Distributed. Even today in Jagannath Kshetra and other big temples, very palatable dishes are offered to the deity, and prasad is distributed profusely, cooked by first-class brahmins with expert knowledge, and then distributed to the public. This is also a blessing from the brahmins or Vaishnavas. There are 4 kinds of prasad, chaturvida: salty, sweet, sour, and pungent. Salty, sweet, sour, and pungent tastes are made with different types of spices, and the food is prepared in 4 divisions, called charva, chusha, leya, and peya. Prasad that is chewed, prasad that is licked, tasted with the tongue, and prasad that is drunk. Thus, there are many varieties of prasad, very nicely with grains and ghee, offered to the deity, distributed to the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, and then to the general public. This is the way of human society. Killing the cows and spoiling the land will not solve the problem of food. This is nation. Uncivilized men living in the jungle and being unqualified to produce food by agricultural protection may eat animals, but a perfect human society, advanced in knowledge, must learn how to produce first-class food simply by agriculture and protection of cows. Gava sarva gunopeta vasasra gumruk mamalini atmaja bhyudayartaya pradate chanvayunjata. We're nearly finished. Nanda Maharaj, for the sake of the affluence of his own son Kṛṣṇa, gave the Brahmins cows. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit, I had a weird night last night. Nanda Maharaj, for the sake of the affluence for his own son Kṛṣṇa, gave the Brahmins cows fully decorated with garments, flower garlands, and gold necklaces. These cows, fully qualified to give ample milk, were given to the Brahmins in charity. And Brahmins accepted them and bestowed blessings upon the whole family, and especially upon Kṛṣṇa. Purport. Nanda Maharaj first fed the Brahmins sumptuously, and then gave them in charity first-class cows fully decorated with golden necklaces, garments, and flower garlands. Vipramantra vido yuktas tarya proktas tata shisha tanish vala bhavishyi na kadacherapi sputam. The Brahmins, who were completely expert in chanting the Vedic, were all yogis, fully equipped with mystic powers. Whatever blessings they spoke were certainly never fruitless. Ending with this verse. Brahmins fully equipped with the Brahminical qualifications are always yogis, fully powerful in yoga. Their words never fail. In every transaction with other members of society, Brahmins are certainly dependable. In this age, however, one must take into account Brahmins are uncertain in their qualifications. Because there are no yogic Brahmins, all yagyas are forbidden. The only yagya recommended in this age is Sankirtan. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasa at Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.5.32. Yagya meant to satisfy Vishnu. Yagyartat karmanunyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Because in this age there are no qualified Brahmins, people should perform yagya by chanting the Hare Kṛṣṇa mantra. Yagdana prayar yajanti hi sumedasa. Life is meant for yagya, and yagya is performed by the chanting of the Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, day after tomorrow, we will hear about the past killing Trinavarta. One day, a year after Krishna's appearance, Mother Yaśodā was patting her son on her lap, but suddenly she felt the child to be heavier than a mountain peak, and she could no longer bear his weight. So anyways, that's the beginning. We'll read the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow we have our verse memorization. Tomorrow we have our verse memorization, and I still haven't made the video. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna quickly take breakfast after right now, and then I will go live and I'll make a video helping us learn the next verse in our Rupa Shiksha program. Tate mali jatna kori kori avaran. How does it go? Sorry, my mind just went blank. Aparada hastir jaiche na hoy urgam. I'm going to make a video for that, and I'm going to go live and do a quick thing. And I've been working on making a nice polished video for that, but I'll probably finish pretty late tonight. So yeah, I'll go live in a few minutes. Maybe I'll go live in maybe half an hour from now or something like that. Right. Maybe 45 minutes from now. Right. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pavishtam Mahabhagavat Shila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pavishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pavishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jalapada Das Raghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Vrindai Tulsi Jai Keshavashachar Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyashtra Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams everybody. Dandavat pranams Rup Manjari Didi and Rukmini Didi. So yeah, as I mentioned before, no Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading tomorrow morning. We're going to have our Zoom session, and then the day after tomorrow we will finish. We'll finish this chapter. We'll read the pastime of Kṛṣṇa killing Trinavarta and also Kṛṣṇa opening up his mouth and Mother Yaśodā verses. So we're going to do those. We'll read those two pastimes, and then actually I'll be here on the 28th. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm leaving to Jagannath Puri on the 28th, but I'll be here in the morning time, so I can read on that day also. Okay. And then the next day on the 29th, I won't be able to read. And I won't be able to read on the 30th either, because I'll be arriving on the 29th, and that's going to be Gadadhar Pandit and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day. And then the day after that is Gundicha Mandir Marjan. And the day after that is Rath Yatra Day. But I think I can read on Rath Yatra Day. But maybe I'll read about Rath Yatra that day. So anyways, these next few days are going to be a bit different. And hopefully when I'm in Puri then, and Rath Yatra is over, and like we get a program, then I can, I'll read steadily again. All right, Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Hari Bol.